Facilitating prosperous maritime trade brings Africans together. The Nigerian youth and productivity under examination, and role of media reportage on peace. A warm welcome to NTA Network News. I'm Elizabeth Banu. Thank you for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has challenged the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development to redouble efforts at re-strategizing the sector for economic growth and development, with the major breakthroughs in the government's drive in relaunching its promises. At an audience with the minister, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, the president expressed delight over the approval of $150 million by the World Bank in support of the mining sector. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has details.
The interactive meeting held behind closed doors was an opportunity by the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, to bring President Muhammadu Buhari up to speed on recent developments in the nation's mining sector. Topmost on the agenda was the recent approval of an attractive concessional loan of $150 million by the World Bank towards establishing a strong foundation for mining sector development in Nigeria.
Part of this money is going to assist with geological data. It's also going to contribute to our organizing the informal sector into a formal sector, provide them some access to funding, and also help them with technological equipment for the artisanal miners. It is also going to help us. There are many miners that have done extensive exploration, but to move to production has been a challenge. So for those who are crossing over from exploration to exploitation and to actual mining, we believe that giving them a leg up, some assistance would help boost the industry.
For President Muhammadu Buhari, mining sector is critical to Nigeria's economic diversification enterprise, and therefore the approval of 30 billion naira intervention fund for the sector, first of its kind in the country.
The sense I get is that is clearly positively encouraged that we are taking the necessary steps in the sector, but he also understands that mining is not that kind of quick win sector. Mining is long term. The president is fully aware of that. He just wants us to set up the foundation and the parameters in order for us to return mining to what it used to be, even better, in the 60s and 70s.
The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Usani Uguru Usani, also briefed the president on the activities of his ministry aimed at tackling the challenges of infrastructure in the Niger Delta region, on which he said significant progress has been achieved.
Some health centers will soon be ready. Some classroom blocks are being painted now, and equipment supplies to some of these facilities in education and health infrastructure are ready. We are paying this as compliments to the major ones that are ongoing, like the East-West Road, the jetties. And by the administration's policy of not abandoning any project, whatever we have got, as of today, we have accomplished more than 98% of our budget implementation based on what releases we have got. And we have channeled much of this to ongoing mega projects in the region.
Records show that before the Buhari administration came on board, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs did not commission any major development project in the area. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The ongoing effort of the federal government to improve fiscal policies geared towards reviving the strength of the economy has been described as a positive step by the International Monetary Fund. Answering questions on the fiscal monitor, the fund's team of experts say an improved tax system and buffers remain critical for economic growth recovery plan. Details with Leah Katumba Batunde.
Nations around the globe have in recent time been grappling with shrinking resources, especially in commodity export-dependent nations. For Nigeria, it's further exacerbated by the fall in global oil prices, which is more than half the resources of government. Now, IMF's fiscal monitor is focused on achieving more with less and cheers the Nigerian government for planning to do exactly just that through the Economic Recovery Group Plan.
Over the past year, the ratio of of interest payments to tax revenue has doubled to 66% in Nigeria.
For sub-Saharan Africa, improving the tax system and building stronger institutions for more viable economic environment is crucial.
There's the need for fiscal consolidation, particularly growth-friendly and emphasizing domestic revenue mobilization through both base expansion and improved tax administration and improved spending efficiency.
The global lender calls for more inclusive growth propelled by greater fiscal policy roles, lowering of public debt, as well as a shift in fiscal policy to match the major global economic transformations that include a productivity slowdown, technological change, and global economic integration. And from the IMF's headquarters, I'm Lerkatung Babatunde, NTA News.
Forming a common front by African countries to facilitate maritime trade is key to achieving regional economic prosperity, which is the dream of the founding fathers of the African Union. Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this at the 3rd Association of African Maritime Administrators Annual Conference in Abuja. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, tasked participants to combat illicit activities such as oil bunkering and sea piracy. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
African oceans and seas are deep and wide, and so are the challenges in the usage and management of what stakeholders refer to as the blue economy. These challenges are what participants at this conference, made up of regulators, policy implementers, and stakeholders of Africa's maritime space, would be addressing. For Nigeria, the importance of maritime services and administration cannot be overemphasized.
The measures that we're putting in place are designed to improve the efficiency of our ports and to enable quick turnaround time of vessels. Technology is also being deployed to make our port operations more transparent and effective in support of economic growth.
And for the African Maritime Administrators, Vice President Osinbajo calls for a renewed focus.
That you must ensure a coherent and collaborative continental response to the challenges facing our maritime space. This will require cooperation amongst our states and agencies and with other segments of society, including the private sector. It also entails focusing on human capacity development, including strengthening the Coast Guard function to police our waterways.
To further express Nigeria's commitment, a number of legislations have been passed towards improving the maritime services.
We must intensify efforts to promote intra-African trade in fisheries. Statistics also show that pan-African fish trade is worth about 20 billion euros.
For us in Nigeria, the objectives of a vibrant Nigerian maritime industry cannot be overemphasized. This is why we are once again within a cocktail of legislative intervention. We have rolled out to revitalize the Nigerian transport sector and are looking at more ways to improve the effectiveness of the Nigerian maritime industry.
A number of concerns were raised which called for a reawakening in the sector.
Regrettable that despite Africa's enormous maritime endowment, we remain susceptible to a raft of challenges. These include insignificant share of cargo, low tonnage, piracy, sea robbery, undeclared and unregulated fishing, and environmental degradation.
We have a collective responsibility to promote new awareness and appreciation of the inevitable role maritime transport and the blue economy can play as an enabler of the economic development of our continent.
The Abuja Conference of the Association of African Maritime Administrators is hoped to be the beginning of concerted cooperative and collaborative efforts at tackling Africa's maritime administration's challenges, as well as tapping into limitless opportunities. In Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The establishment of national shipping carrier and training of requisite manpower have been described as key factors that will assist Nigeria get full benefits of the maritime sector. Guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria made the submission while discussing the opportunities and challenges of the Nigerian maritime sector. Abdul Malik Adio reports.
The maritime sector is described as about the most lucrative in Africa, as 60% of shipping flow in the West African sub-region ends up in the country. However, the country has no vessels to enable Nigerians benefit from the proceeds of the sector that runs into billions of naira annually. The guests call for a conscious intervention by government and private sector in line with Nigerians' national interest.
We're a country of 170 million persons. What it means is that we have human resources that we can translate to value in the industry in terms of the human element contribution.
How will you imagine if Nigerian insurance companies are going to insure vessels? How will you imagine what the participation of our banks in financing vessels and many other activities?
Funding the sector, improving maritime infrastructure and implementing the Cabotage Act as well as building the inland port were also raised by the discussant.
Government cannot wake up every morning and be saying, from tomorrow this is what you want to do, from next tomorrow you want to do. This is shipping. Maritime is international.
Nigeria is too significant a country in Africa for it to resort to what we call the free riders mindset. That is, you allow others foot the bill and you take advantage of whatever comes from the organization.
In Abuja, Abdul Malik Adio, NTA News.
With the world undergoing rapid changes in every field, there must be change among youths to develop themselves and become agents of social action and productivity. In this special report, Olainka Ojo takes a look at productivity improvement as a continuous process.
The youth constitutes the backbone and future of any nation, as the development of the nation largely depends on them. Most nations of the world have concrete developmental programs for the youth. In Nigeria, young people account for over 70% of the population. Their place and importance in the society is adequately captured in the Nigeria Youth Policy. Being great investments and good measures to which a country can reproduce and sustain itself, their joint disposition can be put to productive use for social and economic growth. Today, due to unemployment, youth have become a reserve army used by some sets of people in the society to perpetrate violence. To checkmate some of these anomalies and engage youth in meaningful ventures, governments have continually introduced programs that can help improve their development.
Productivity abhors wastages. See? So what we try to preach to the youth is for them to develop this culture of productivity, to have that mentality that you can always improve on whatever exists.
The development of youth for national productivity requires a collective participation and value reorientation. This does not mean that there are no young Nigerians engaged in exploits within and outside the shores of Africa, but with little encouragement, more will contribute to national growth.
If I have access to 5 million naira today, I think I can employ up to 50 youths. Can work very well.
And the skill acquisition is being brought up, the hidden potentials in them will come up. Government will not be rest on for job opportunities.
For the desired dream of harnessing the potential of youth, they must exhibit the right attitude and frame of mind. In Abuja, Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
The National Human Rights Commission has advised Nigerians to desist from the use of hate speeches and derogative statements that could heat up the polity, leading to chaos and rancor. This was at a media briefing by the Acting Executive Secretary of the Commission, Oti Ovra, to flag off investigation of complaints on the matter and electoral violence. Olajide Bello reports.
With 153 complaints received by the National Human Rights Commission on hate speeches and election violence from states in the North Central, Northeast, Northwest, Southwest, Southeast, and South-South, the Commission decided to take the bull by the horn to commence investigations.
The Commission is now set to investigate these complaints. Those found substantiated will be subjected to a public hearing where alleged violators, complainants, and victims will be given fair hearing.
The whole essence of this is to
form a conducive climate for election campaigns, for people to be able to realize their right to vote.
The acting executive secretary, Arti Ovrawa, says the sole aim of the project is to deepen Nigeria's democracy and encourage election campaigns to be issue-based rather than hate speeches that can lead to election violence. Recommendations at the end of the investigation will serve as a blueprint to be adopted by the federal government to curtail hate speeches and electoral violence in Nigeria. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Media professionals are unanimous that the role of the media is central to promoting peace, countering terrorism in the country. This was revealed at a one-day roundtable on the role of media in reporting peace-building processes and counter-terrorism narrative in Nigeria, organized by the National Orientation Agency in Abuja. Musa Abubakar has details.
The roundtable created an avenue to reflect on the return of peace to the Northeast, taking cognizance of the role of the media to counter terrorism through information dissemination.
The kind of reporting that was being made when the insurgency was at its peak be reflectively different now that peace is gradually returning to the security challenged community of the Northeast.
Some media executives, which includes the Executive Director, News Mohammed Labbo, who represented the Director General of the NTA, emphasized on the need for the media to inform and educate people at the grassroots.
The Nigerian Television Authority has always placed great premium at ensuring that the numerous successes of the Nigerian armed forces in combating terrorism in the Northeast and insecurity in other parts of the country are adequately reported, with a view to bolstering their determination, courage, and commitment towards securing our fatherland.
We owe a responsibility to people in northeastern Nigeria, especially those that are going back to areas that have been liberated, to make sure that they go back well informed of the conditions that are there.
In another development, the NOAA Director General, Garba Abari, said the agency is collaborating with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control to enlighten the public on preventive measures against cerebrospinal meningitis.
A defined narrative and proactive effort to make the society safer is expected to resonate among stakeholders as peace and security remains a recipe for development. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
The Buhari Media Support Group has described the action taken by President Muhammadu Buhari to address the discovery of about 13 billion naira in a flat on Osborne Road, Ikoyi, Lagos, as a proof of his administration's resolve to deal decisively with the issue of corruption in the country. A statement jointly signed by its chairman, Austin Brimo, and secretary, Cassidy Madueke, indicates that the action, which includes the suspension of the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ayo Oke, based on allegations that the money recovered by the EFCC was purportedly kept by the agency, has proven President Buhari's statement when he took his oath of office that he is for nobody but for everybody. It notes that the suspension would lead to a thorough investigation of the allegations, just as it would lend credence to the transparent war of the federal government against corruption. The Buhari Media Support Group also stressed that the immediate suspension of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir David Lawal, based on allegations of violating the law and abuse of due process in the award of contracts for the presidential initiative on Northeast, is a step in the right direction. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says African ministers of culture and tourism will rally support to have an African succeed the current UNWTO Secretary General, Taleb Rifai, whose tenure will come to an end this year. Anthony Forson reports that Nigeria's minister barred his mind in Addis Ababa.
Walter Nzembi is Zimbabwe's Minister of Tourism and Hospitality and the current chairman of the Africa Commission. He is one of the contenders for the post of the Secretary General. At this dinner, hosted by his home country, speaker after speaker applauded his sterling quality and desirability of having him at the United Nations World Tourism Organization headquarters in Madrid. It is in line with this position that Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said it will be in the interest of Africa.
We all believe that it's the turn of Africa to occupy this post. Of course, a lot of intensive lobbying is going on, but what I think is most important is for us to ensure that we in Africa, we do not lose the opportunity to produce the next United Nations Secretary General. For us, who are ministers from Africa, would want to ensure that an African emerges as the next Secretary General.
Walter Nzembi has been a minister in Zimbabwe since 2009. In Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Yet in Addis Ababa, the dearth of information and proper packaging of Africa's tourism potential has been fingered as the bane of the sector's growth and development. Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, Taleb Rifai, said this at a high-level meeting of the ongoing 59th UNWTO CAF session. Again, Anthony Forson reports that the meeting is to find inroad for Chinese tourists to Africa.
Statistics made available by tourism experts have it that Europe, Asia, the Americas, and Middle East enjoy a fair share of the cake, while Africa accounts for a paltry 5% of international tourist arrivals worldwide. And from Asia, out of their over 47 million tourists, Africa receives just 3%. In a move to improve on this low patronage, despite the huge potentials in Africa, the United Nations World Tourism Organization Commission for Africa is holding a high-level meeting on Chinese outbound to Africa to address the issue.
China does not have a baggage to carry from its history of its relationship with Africa, and that's giving it an advantage and an edge. I completely believe that now is the turn for Africa to seek Chinese assistance and support in this very crucial area of tourism.
In Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Dealing with the challenges of cattle rustling when we return. Stay with us.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
When the kings of African comedy gather under one roof,
there is only one outcome.
Then we bring down the roof.
Come witness the craziest
And the funniest,
the oh my God, and the baddest of them all. Laughter will scatter your brain well.
Come watch the biggest names in African comedy at Glow Laughter Fest. Basketmouth, Bovi, I Go Die, Sheyi Law, Gordons, Salvador, Osama, Bash, Kenny Black, and many more.
You will never have a bigger gathering of jaw-dropping, whip-cracking comedians under one roof. One microphone, one network.
all over Nigeria. Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
I am gonna be there. I'm going to be there.
Live and direct.
For the time of your life.
Will you?
To win a free ticket, use 2,000 Naira in a month and text LOL and your preferred location to 240.
Oh, Laughter
fist. Laugh go kill you, die.
Glow Unlimited.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights.
How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
The Honorable Minister, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Chief Audu Obi, and the Minister of State, Senator Henikin Lokbobiri, wish to invite all state commissioners of agriculture, heads of agricultural institutions, research councils, colleges, universities, and other relevant stakeholders to the rescheduled 42nd National Council of Agriculture and Rural Development with theme Agribusiness Investments for Economic Stabilization, Diversification, and Growth, which holds as follows. Date, Monday 24th to Friday 28th April 2017. Venue, Obiwali Convention Center, Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Time, 9 a.m. daily. Dr. Bukar Hassan, Permanent Secretary, Announcer.
To the outer framers, the hat tippers, the fringe goers, you don't need to hide anymore. Try Dettol Even Tone. It cleans and helps to reduce the appearance of blemishes caused by oil, dirt, and germs, giving your skin a healthy feel for an even better you. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Dettol soap is now also available for 100 Naira only.
The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, is pleased to invite the general public to the 53rd anniversary celebration of the Nigerian Air Force, holding from 20 to 22 April 2017 at the Nigerian Air Force Base, Makurdi, Benue State. Theme, Employment of Air Power for Enduring National Security. Activities marking the celebration include Jumat prayers and interdenominational church service, medical outreach, air weapons meet, ceremonial parade and winging of new pilots, presentation of color to Special Operations Command, induction of Mi-35M helicopters into the Nigerian Air Force inventory and aerial static display. Special guest of honor, President and Commander-in-Chief Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Nigerian Air Force, willing, able, ready.
It is with joy that I've received Our Excellency's gifts.
I want to say that may God continue to bless and reward her. And so, on behalf of Garki Hospital, we are grateful.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. The National Security Advisor, in collaboration with Yobe State Government, is holding a sensitization workshop on the implementation of National Counter-Terrorism Strategy for Adamawa, Taraba and Yobe States. The Security Advisor, General Babagana Monguno, and Governor Ibrahim Gaidam agreed that there must be synergy among stakeholders to consolidate on the successes by security forces against Boko Haram terrorists. Mustafa Yusuf Musa reports.
The two-day national sensitization workshop on the implementation of the National Counter-Terrorism Strategy is a deliberate attempt by stakeholders aimed at mapping out strategies to effectively counter terrorism in the society. Participants were drawn from community-based organizations, non-governmental organizations, traditional institutions, youth and women groups.
We must all work together, identifying our crucial roles and collaborating to record progress. Terrorism has been felt in this zone, still being felt, and will continue to be felt for a long time because of the scars it has left on the people and on the environment.
I find it most appropriate at this point to commend the unrelenting commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari in the fight against insurgency and other forms of crime in Nigeria.
On his part, Secretary to Yobe State Government Alhaji Babu Malam Wali said the workshop is an avenue for stakeholders to acquire skills, knowledge and techniques from security experts to properly handle security matters. In Damaturu, I am Mustafa Yusuf Musa, NTA News.
And acknowledging the role of the media in the operations of the Nigerian Armed Forces, the need for training, interactive sessions and seminars to improve the cordial and working relationship has been brought to the fore. This was at the 2017 Defense Correspondence Seminar by Chief of Defense Staff, General Gabriel Olonishaki. Olajide Bello has details.
The first phase of Operation Harbin Kunama in 2015 covered Kaduna and Zamfara.
To always ensure that each defense correspondents are adequately prepared to function creditably in every media age.
These two categories of professionals are working towards achieving a common goal of ensuring and entrenching national security in the country despite the differences in their job description. How to strike a balance in their line of duty for more effective working condition is what informed the 2017 Defense Correspondence Seminar as a platform to brainstorm and fashion out ways for a cordial relationship.
Defense headquarters will continue to leverage on the existing cordial relationship between the media and the military, having in mind the critical role the media plays on military operations.
Continued use of embedded reporters, expanding on the current program to ensure coverage to include the post-hostilities phase.
There had been an age-long mistrust, and there is need really, to turn that mutual mistrust to mutual respect. That is the only way through which the management of information with regards to national security could be improved on.
The theme for the 2017 Defense Correspondence Seminar is Professional Information Management, a panacea for improved national security. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
For more reports on security matters, let's now join Lami in Maiduguri. It's over to you, Lami. During a get-together organized by the Theater Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Lucky Irabo, Maimuna Garba reports that the event took place at the 212 Battalion Parade Ground, Maimalari Cantonment, Maiduguri.
The get-together provided an avenue of consolidating the existing cordial relationship and synergy amongst all security agencies in the theater, as well as to rub minds and get acquainted with each other in their quest to end the insurgency and restore total peace in the region. Theater Commander Operation Lafia Dole commended the good efforts of all security agencies for their resilience, stressing that their commitments have yielded targeted results of reclaiming the lost glory of the zone, but was emphatic that they should not rest on their oars.
It's for us to be re-energized, reinvigorated, and to ensure that we raise the bar of professional excellence in our various services, so that together we will end this madness of Boko Haram, terrorists, and insurgency.
Heads of paramilitary and other security agencies in their remarks assured of continued support and cooperation. Members of the civilian JTF and some injured soldiers also attended the gathering. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Security operatives in Maiduguri are on a manhunt for a suspected Boko Haram terrorist on a mission to carry out suicide attack in the metropolis. This followed the arrest of two of his female accomplices by personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Here is the report. According to the Borno State Commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Ibrahim Abdullahi, the two teenage female accomplices, Amina and Fatima, in their confessional statements disclosed that they came to Maiduguri alongside their male guide, whose name they gave as Sahir,
who abandoned them at the Borno Express Motor Park. They claim to have been residing at Sambisa Forest for the past 2 years, until last week when they came to Maiduguri with the said Sahir, probably to carry out suicide bomb attack.
We have made a frantic effort. Very soon we'll get him. What she failed to tell you, she was married to the functional leader of the PhD.
The commandant also paraded one Ade Precious for running an illegal joint admissions and matriculations board registration center in Maiduguri. In another development, operatives of the corps intercepted bags of rice suspected to have been smuggled out of Dalori IDP's camp, as well as several jerry cans full of petrol confiscated around Kunduga, Muna and Jimtilo axis, all in the outskirts of Maiduguri. Lami Ali, NTA News. And that does it on this end. It's back to Elizabeth in Abuja for more reports.
Thank you, Lami. The Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, says the NTA will continue to support efforts at curbing criminal activities in the country. It was during discussions with the Implementation Committee to curtail cattle rustling in Nigeria. Aisha Ubali reports.
Over the years, cattle rearers in Nigeria have been confronted with an upsurge in rustling by criminal gangs, who not only steal their herds but threaten their lives. The notoriety of this development led to the setting up of a 31-man committee in December 2016 to curtail incessant cattle rustling and farmers' clashes across the country. The committee was at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, to seek collaboration with the NTA in pursuing its assignments.
The committee is also mandated to organize sensitization and advocacy visits to major stakeholders, government agencies, and interest groups to solicit for their cooperation.
The Director General, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, commended the federal government on the war against criminality and insurgent activities, especially in the northeast, and said the NTA remains focused on informing the public appropriately.
One of the critical objectives of this administration is to ensure that the whole of Nigeria is safe. The whole of Nigeria is safe not only for the citizens of this country, but also for investors and other visitors who find Nigeria attractive.
The Guild of Medical Directors were also at the NTA to solicit coverage of its upcoming scientific conference on hepatitis, a disease said to have affected about 20 million Nigerians.
Our main aim is to assist the government in very many ways. And perhaps you must have known what happened during the Ebola. It was a hospital, one of our hospitals, that saved this country from that scourge. That's First Foundation, Dr. Hiri.
Director News Ali Bababaro received them on behalf of the Director General.
Maybe during your conference you give us statistics of the different elements happening according to the geographical locations of brother and sister countries. You are giving us more knowledge on that. And we are happy that you are here. We are always partners in progress. So what we need to have is for you to intimate us quite in time.
He also challenged them to work at restoring the confidence of Nigerians in the Nigerian healthcare system. In Abuja, Aisha Oba Ali, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Umaru Maza as chairman of the board of the Rural Electrification Agency. In a statement, Director, Press Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Bolaji Adebiyi, said the appointment comes alongside Mrs. Damilola Ogumbiyi as Managing Director. Others are Dr. Sanusi Mohammed Ohere, Executive Director, Rural Electrification, Mohammed A. Wasaram, Executive Director, Technical Services, and Yetunde Odia, Executive Director, Corporate Services. Alozie Mark and Rotimi Thomas are non-executive directors. President Buhari has also confirmed the appointment of Saleh Dunoma as Managing Director of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, Mukhtar Usman as Director General of Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and Falake Akinkotu as Managing Director of Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. President Muhammadu Buhari has also approved the appointment of Abubakar Abba Bello as the Managing Director of the Nigerian Export-Import Bank, NEXIM. Also appointed are Dr. Bala Mohammed Bello as Executive Director, Corporate Services, and Stella Okotete as Executive Director, Business Development. A statement by the Director, Press Office of the SGF, Bolaji Adebiyi, states that the appointments take immediate effect. The end of Easter patrol report of the Federal Road Safety Corps indicates that there is significant drop in the rate of road traffic crashes involving commercial vehicles, while that of private vehicles is on the increase. Aliu Tukur has details.
Briefing the media on the 2017 Easter patrol, the head of media relations and strategy of the Federal Road Safety Corps, BC Kazim, said out of the 147 vehicles involved in accidents during the Easter period, over 100 are private cars. With 35% decrease in fatality rate and more than 200% increase in the number of people rescued compared to last year, the Corps says the success can be attributed to the support from the present administration.
7,589 offenders were booked for 8,896 offenses. And the mobile calls spread all over. We were able to arraign 398 traffic offenders, while 382 were convicted.
Now the way it is that the commercial drivers are trained, while the private drivers are not trained. So it is the responsibility of the government of the state, in collaboration with the Federal Road Safety Commission, to organize and arrange a basic training of private drivers in all the states of the Federation.
As for the increase in the number of private cars' involvement in crashes, the Corps says public enlightenment has been increased and consultation is ongoing as to whether to implement the speed limit device on private vehicles. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News. Time to join Vera in Lagos for more reports. It's over to you, Vera.
Hello, Bert, and a very warm welcome to Lagos. The Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas LNG Limited says the country has the potential to develop into a global gas powerhouse if the right business environment is sustained. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer LNG Limited, Tony Atta, said this in Lagos during the presentation of the company's 2017 facts and figures. Jane Ojukwu has the report.
Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NLNG Limited, Tony Atta, disclosed that the company has been on the path of growth and profitability since it commenced production in 1999. He said the NLNG has generated $90 billion in revenue, paid $5.5 billion in taxes, and generated $13 billion for the federal government through feed gas purchase, including $15 billion in dividend. NLNG Limited currently has 6 trains and plans to further unleash the country's gas potential by constructing trains 7 and 8, capable of attracting $25 billion in foreign direct investment while generating 18,000 jobs for the youth. All this, the management of the company says, can only be achieved if investors' confidence is sustained.
The reality is that this company was founded on the foundation of the NLNG Act. But unfortunately, if the amendment goes on as proposed, it means the assurances and guarantees will be deleted. And so doing, Train 7 and 8, as we mentioned, will be jeopardized.
The monetization of the country's gas resources has contributed in the reduction of gas flaring from 65% to less than 20%, while ensuring availability of liquefied petroleum gas used for cooking.
We are actually partnering with the presidency to make sure that the LPG utilization is deepened in Nigeria.
We have our fingers and indeed our hands in so many pies of development around the country.
NLNG Limited was incorporated in 1989. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
Plans are underway by the Nigerian Film Corporation to collaborate with the Nigerian Communications Commission, service providers and other relevant government agencies to have a dedicated bandwidth access for Nigerian movies. The managing director of the Nigerian Film Corporation Chida Maduekwe disclosed this at a stakeholders interactive workshop on job creation in Lagos.
The provision of a bandwidth for Nigerian movies, the managing director of the corporation explained, will facilitate streaming and marketing of movies for social and economic benefits. He stated that the motion picture industry is a major player in the global media and entertainment industry, with a visible evidence on the GDP of the nation. Chida Maduekwe highlighted piracy, obsolete laws, and poor distribution and exhibition are some of the factors militating against the growth of the industry.
The veritable platform of technology, which is the bandwidth, must be made available to enable the Nigerians who have suffered and work in that direction, control the releases, have revenue inflow to them, and then live a better life than they are living currently.
With dwindling oil revenue demands, stakeholders in the industry are of the opinion that movie producers should begin to make films with cutting-edge equipment in order to make them bankable. This is said will attract investors.
We need to change the amount of money that people need to access to watch these movies. Then piracy will die.
If you are very, very creative in having your own content, I don't think there's any need for us to be one-sided.
Efforts to establish a trust fund for credit flow, review of obsolete laws, establishment of a film institute to complement training, and the making of Mobicon, a regulatory body of repute, were all captured in the communique at the end of the workshop.
You're still watching NTA Network News. We take a break now for some messages. The news continues shortly. Stay with us.
Hey, now what are you? My name is Mr. Shortcut. I didn't mind my money. Now cheap one, I dey buy. Stand up, we side. Now to buy cheap one. Hey, now one can keep on for my yard. A cheap building material where we take build my office. I think say I dey save money. Office building collapse and fire burn my house.
You don't see what happened to Mr. Shortcut? Well, Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, don't ready for action and say enough of pain, loss and wastage. And if you see product where no dey correct, call the SON office when near you or SON help desk. Standards Organization of Nigeria, improving life through standards.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Of real orange pulp in every gulp.
Where's the pulp?
Five Alive Pulpy Orange, now in your neighborhood.
Cadbury Bournvita now comes in an attractive new 500-gram refill pack. Simply open and reseal after use to retain the chocolatey and creamy taste. Cadbury Bournvita. Prepare to win.
Floret's chewing gum neutralizes bad odor. It doesn't just disguise them, it gives you real minty breath.
Issues in the sports sector remain one of the most debated among Nigerians due to the passion, followership, government involvement, impact on Nigeria's external image on our national life, in the sports parliament. The NTA offers Nigerians deep views on issues with experts in the sports sector, offering in-depth analysis, insight and foresight towards elevating Nigerian sports to the zenith. Sports parliament.
The benefits that accrue in school sports, it is the bedrock of any nation.
A few Nigerians wanted the status quo to continue. So I don't think we should put all Nigerians and say Nigerians don't follow the trend, because the smart ones, we are following.
The National Sports Lottery Fund, shrouded in secrecy.
The fact that the Super Eagles played an NTA, not only NTA, no Nigerian broadcaster, in fact no broadcaster anywhere in the world from our records was able to bring that much. It's a matter of concern.
Issa Hayatu was president for 29 years. He lost the election in Addis, and that's it. He's gone.
Sports Parliament, a unique platform for sports discussions, showing live on the NTA, Thursdays at 11 p.m. Keep a date with parliamentarians.
The eyes have it.
You're still watching NTA Network News. Over now to business news with Chiazalam Ekie on the strength of the Naira.
Hello and welcome to Business News. Well, we begin with some cheering news. Latest release from the U.S. Census Bureau indicates that trade between Nigeria and the United States rose by 70.44% from $799.93 million in January and increased to $1.36 billion. The data revealed that Nigeria-U.S. relations shows that petroleum products dominated the U.S. imports from Nigeria. Meanwhile, Nigeria's external reserves climbed to $30.56 billion. This rise coincides with the recent rise in price of crude. These close watchers say is coming on the heels of increased gap between the interbank market and the parallel markets. And oil prices regained some ground this Thursday after some losses the previous day, with a slight drop in U.S. crude inventories. And to the money markets, the Naira firmed 1.27% to 395 Naira to the dollar on the parallel market Thursday. Nigeria's Apex Bank has been intervening on the official markets to narrow the currency spread.
CBN has been ensuring that there's liquidity in the forex markets, through sustained interventions, part of what has even resulted in the reduced inflation figure for March that we saw from 17.17% in February to 17.26% in March.
Next is a graphical illustration of how trading on the equities market fared today. That's the package. I'm Chiazalam Ekie. The news continues. Please stay with us.
Thank you, Chiazalam. The first edition of the African Drums Festival has begun in Abeokuta. Governor Ibikule Amosun stressed the need for cultural renaissance through drums and drumming for the unity, social development and promotion of cultural heritage in Africa. Justin Bemui reports.
It is the first of its kind after the maiden edition of Nigeria Drums Festival last year. The festival, with the theme Reviving Our Culture in Drums, seeks to reveal the richness and depth of Nigerian and African cultural heritage to the world. Arts and cultural icons across the country and continent of Africa converged with an array of artists, drummers and dancers around the world performing. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, was represented by the Artistic Director, National Troupe, Ta Uko.
Festivals like this will promote Pan-African unity, increase inter-African economic trade, local value chain benefits.
Governor Amosun noted that the festival will promote the cultural heritage as a viable tool for social development.
It's expected that with this platform, we must have re-energized
the cultural zeal in the minds of our people, and the resultant cultural resurgence will, in the long run, help us appreciate our African culture more than ever before.
Ogun State is hosting the festival, previously known as Ogun State Drums Festival. And
you're still watching NTA Network News. We'll bring you developments in the sports world after these messages. Stay with us.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights.
How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC impacts upon everything we do, including water we drink, the food we eat. They are important organs to the development of this country. And everybody should come out and join them and support them and help them to achieve the greatest benefits and success that they need to record.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Sports now with Tamara Ebiwe.
The Athletics Federation of Nigeria has released